few couple of seconds, but the first answer to revise is this first one. And the reason is the punctuation. This is a punctuation issue. So with this one, many students struggle with managing their time and they often wait until the last minute. The problem is that if you have complete sentences on both sides of a coordinating conjunction, you need a comma before that conjunction. This one, many students struggle with managing their time, therefore they often wait until the last minute. This one's a run-on.
Why it's not D?
D, many students struggle with managing their time and often waiting.
Oh, I mean, okay, yeah. I think I read it in my head.
So you have to make the verbs, and actually this is a parallelism we'll talk about later. You have to make the verbs match up in type. So here they are they struggle, here they're waiting.
Okay, I missed that waiting.
Take your time. So again, this one, study the punctuation handout. I put in a lot more grammar stuff if you didn't notice. Okay, which revision corrects sentence 4?
D.
I got C and D. C.
I know why I see now because you get that.
It's the comma. So this one, look at your comma rules, look at your punctuation. If you have an interrupting word, it has to have commas around it. Sometimes it's not that it should be interrupting, like here with therefore, that should have been a full stop. But this, you're interrupting it, so you have commas around that interruption, both sides of the interruption. Yes, ma'am.
What did you say to put down for number 1, answer A?
Punctuation. Number 3, what is the best revision for sentence 5? A, there we go. Students should use planners, comma, set reminders, comma, and break large tasks into smaller steps. So when you have a list of 3 or more items, you want to use commas between the items. Number 4, which change corrects sentence 6? A. So let's look at sentence 6. Come on, you guys. Listen. I appreciate the enthusiasm for the test, but we got a lot to get through. So let me just go through and explain them all. Because if I got to wait 30 seconds between questions, we're never going to get through it. So these strategies not only improve grades, but also builds responsibilities. What you have here is a verb tense. So you're saying that it currently improves. So it not only these strategies not only improve grades, but also builds responsibilities. These don't match. I know, and then I fixed it. I went back and fixed it. But had that been an option, that would have been correct as well. But that's not an option on the multiple choice. The point is that they don't match up, and my brain wanted to fix the first one because that's how I work.
Right. So basically, you just gotta make it, instead of plural, make it singular. Yeah. So if you have a singular right before that, you just need to make sure the other part is singular.
Well, what it's doing is subject-verb agreement is what the official thing is. What you are saying builds responsibility is the strategies. If you have a plural subject, you have to use the plural form of a verb. However, the rule about the S flips on verbs. If it has an S, like I would say, he builds the house. If you have a singular subject, one he, you add the S to the verb. If you have a plural subject and you say Bob and his friends, now you cut the S off of the verb. So the S is only going to go on one. If you have a plural subject with an S, then there won't be the S on the end of the verb. Now, that's depending on spelling. That's not always the case, but for the most part.
Okay, so it's because strategies.
It's because of strategies. So
Okay.
strategies improve, but not strategies. Yeah, I can't even say it. You would not say these strategies builds responsibility. You would say these strategies build. So it should be A.
I see why you said it.
What is the correct? So this, if you want to write that down, that's called subject-verb agreement. The official grammar name for that is subject-verb agreement. Number 5, what is the correct revision of sentence 7? B. Time management is a skill that benefits students long after they leave school. So, time focus, guys. The same thing is going on here. If you say a skill that benefiting, that when the verbs don't match up. Skill which benefit, you got to have an S on one of those. So it's the subject-verb agreement again. This one is a comma issue. That one would be punctuation. But if you said A or C, it's a subject-verb agreement issue. Number 6. What is the best revision of sentence 8? A. By practicing it now, students prepare themselves for future success. This one would be the punctuation handout as well. Or the comma handout. It's because you have an introductory phrase. When you have an introductory phrase, you put a comma between that phrase and the rest of the sentence. They have just moved the comma. Your options put the comma in different places. It goes after the introductory phrase, before the rest of the sentence. Number 7, which sentence would best follow sentence 2 to strengthen the paragraph? C. Poor planning can also cause students to lose sleep. Because sentence 2 says this habit creates stress and lowers the quality of their work. Before you then get to this thing talking about them forgetting details, you need to tell me what else it does. Go down here. Because that's your connection between those two sentences. Which sentence should be removed to improve focus? None of them. D. This one stays on focus. Yes, it could have had better things added to it, but there's nothing you need to cut from it. Okay, questions on that one? Your second reading then. Many communities are planting trees along city streets. Trees provide shade, reduce air pollution, and improve the appearance of neighborhoods. Studies show that areas with more trees often have lower temperatures during the summer months. In addition, trees can increase property values and encourage people to spend more time outdoors. Although planting and maintaining trees requires effort, the long-term benefits make the investment worthwhile. What is the main idea? Now pause before you answer. I don't remember if I gave the warning in this class or the other class. When it's asking for the main idea, it is probably not going to be as simple as saying, what is the topic sentence? Because they would have said, what's the topic sentence? If it's asking for main idea, you have to use your own brain and say, given all this stuff they've told me, what would I then guess is the main idea? So what is the main idea of this passage? B. Trees provide environmental and community benefits. A only focuses on one part of the paragraph. C only focuses on one part of the paragraph. D is the complete opposite of the paragraph. Number 10. Which detail best supports the main idea? C. Areas with more trees often have lower temperatures. So if the main idea is the environmental and community benefits, then this one is telling you an environmental benefit. Now, one thing I want to point out, if you would have gotten 9 wrong, 10 would have been really confusing. So focus on the order the sentences are told, because if you thought the main idea was cities should remove trees, that's not going to be the one that explains it. You could have gone something like D, people don't like yard work, or trees grow too slowly. 11, which organizational pattern is used? Why can I not talk? I need ibuprofen. This one, I am very glad Tatiana asked yesterday for us to go over organizational patterns, and I hope you guys were paying attention. That one is A, cause and effect. It's under the YouTube section. I didn't post it till the afternoon, but it's under YouTube.
Okay, I understand now. I see why.
So this one, cause and effect, because your cause here is that they're planting those trees. And then here's all the effects that it has. Which one best summarizes the passage? C. Benefits communities in several important ways. Remember, a summary has to cover all the key points. Make sure it's not just covering some of the key points or most of the key points. It has to cover all of the key points. Which transition would best begin the last sentence? B, in conclusion. So, for example, that's going to be introducing a detail. Meanwhile, that's a time word. Similarly is also going to be introducing a detail.
And then there it says last sentence, so that kind of gives you a conclusion. Conclusion.
The author's tone is best described as C, informative. You might come across one that will give you the option of serious and informative on the same list. Those are really close. Serious and informative are both serious. It is going to be informative if it's giving you information. It can be serious and not actually giving you new information. It's just talking about serious stuff. Okay, so before we get to writing and research skills, 1, we didn't get to talk about research. So I'm going to have a little crash course thing with you there. 2, that grammar section needs some work, because on the reading stuff, you guys were getting them right for the most part. The first one was grammar stuff. And the grammar stuff, a lot of wrong answers on that with you guys. So I'm going to talk about that in just a second, and I'm correctly good idea of making a little handout for that as well. So research, if you got these right for the most part, it's probably, just a plus because we didn't talk about some of it. Which is the strongest thesis statement for an essay about school uniforms? Now, we did do thesis. C. School uniforms should be required because they reduce distractions, promote equality, and save money. So that lets me know if this is your essay, your first body paragraph is going to be about distractions, your second one's going to be about equality, and your last one's going to be about saving money. So keep that in mind when you write your own essay too. 16, we did not talk about source types. So which source would be most reliable for a research paper? B, a peer-reviewed academic journal article. So let me just quick side note on this one. When it comes to research, if it asks you something, but you're probably going to get almost this exact same question. A peer-reviewed academic journal, this is considered top-of-the-line research. Because what this is a group of scholars, typically scientists, have gotten together, they've done some sort of study, some experiment, and they've published it. Peer-reviewed means that other experts also looked over it and fact-checked it. So this is considered top-of-the-line source no matter what. Your step below that would be something like an encyclopedia or a dictionary. You might want to write this down because this is just crash course. So top best source you can get anywhere in the world is a peer-reviewed academic journal. Second best is going to be an encyclopedia, a dictionary, some sort of what's called reference material. You might want to write it as reference material. 16. The step below that is going to be government and organizational websites. I would. So, top of the line, peer-reviewed article, peer-reviewed journal article. Second is going to be stuff like encyclopedia and dictionary. Those are called reference material. Third best is going to be government and organizational websites. Fourth best is going to be a regular website, not very good at all. But if you got to rank them, I would on your notes. You might be asked, which is better, which is worst. Typically, and then the absolute lowest is going to be your blog posts, your social media comments, your ads, because those are all way too biased. You can't get good information because that's just purely opinion.
What was number 4 again? Regular website. Regular website. And then the blog, the social media. They're gonna ask us this?
Likely, yes. But it might say which is least reliable of this list. Or if you are trying to look up what date something happened, then you're going to want to go with encyclopedia. So which is the best concluding sentence for a persuasive paragraph? C. Because one, you've got that transition for these reasons, but you also have in conclusion on B. A is just announcing, that is my paragraph. Okay, cool. B is too broad. There are many thoughts, does not tell, because this is important that you noted it was a persuasive paragraph. It's C because it's got this good transition for these reasons, and because it's clearly a persuasive, because it's saying should. Daily exercise should be a priority for everyone. And then D is just a general opinion statement. So again, keep that in mind for your own writing. 18, which sentence uses formal language appropriate for an essay? B, students would benefit from increased recess time.
19, I didn't know this was, but I guess on 19.
I put A.
I put 8 too, but
19, we didn't talk about. It's B. So this, again, crash course, and I'll even type it on here because it might be complicated to write down. So, crash course in research. If you use outside stuff, so if you look something up, if something in your paper was not from you, you had to go look up that information. You have to give what's called a citation. You might see it worded as cite, to cite something. C-I-T-E. They mean the same thing. And this is just where you are telling where you got it. But it's the official way of telling where you got the information. It's called making a citation or citing the source. So if you see cite spelled with a C, know it's talking about research. I'll make this a little bit bigger. Oh, dang, you're right. That is another, they spell it with a C on that too. So it's either talking about getting a criminal card of some sort or citing where you got information. Okay. The style that they use. So for English, that is MLA, which stands for Modern Language Association. I don't think you'll be asked what it stands for, but just in case. And this is the company who makes the rules for citing. When you are telling it, there are a bazillion rules, but the ones they're likely going to ask you about is going to be how you put the citation. Author's last name, always first. Always 100% across the board. The author's last name is top priority. The only other level they might ask you is that if there is no author, then the title is first. Yeah. But if any of the questions ask about what order a citation goes in, author is always first. If it has an author, the author is always first. If it doesn't have an author, you use the title instead, and they won't get more complicated than that. There are ones of, if the title is this, then you do this, but they're not going to get that complicated. And then the last thing they might ask you about is if it depends on where the citation is. If you are telling it in the essay, like if you stop in the essay and say, according to so-and-so, put that on here, according to blah, blah, blah. That is called an in-text citation. If you quote somebody in the essay, you'd have to give an in-text citation, yes. Yes. Well, I'm just recording it, so the recording will be on there. This would just, the reason I'm saying write it down is otherwise you're going to have to scroll through the video because I'm not going to post the things separately. Not today, anyway. If it's at the end of the essay where you tell all your sources, that's called a works cited page. It is very technical. It is be glad that we didn't cover research because every tiny little microscopic detail matters on these rules, like OSHA stuff.
This is like OSHA writing.
The reason, in fact, OSHA is the way their manuals are written is because of what's called technical writing, and it has rules that they have to follow. Okay, that's all they're going to ask you about research. That's why I didn't go over it, because it's a matter of a couple bullet points. As long as you know those things, you'll be fine on the research questions.
And the last question.
Number 20, which revision best eliminates wordiness? B. Because he was late, he missed the bus. If you got that one wrong, go back to the concise sentences from the snow days.